The Panzer IV was the most important and widely used German armored vehicle of World War II, serving as the backbone of the Wehrmacht's panzer forces from the opening campaigns of 1939 until the final battles in 1945. Originally designed as a support tank to engage enemy infantry and fortifications, the Panzer IV evolved continuously throughout the war, receiving heavier armor, more powerful engines, and increasingly lethal main guns. Early variants were armed with short-barreled guns effective against soft targets, while later versions mounted long-barreled 75mm cannons capable of engaging Allied tanks at long range. The Panzer IV fought on every major front, including Poland, France, North Africa, the Eastern Front, and Western Europe, proving adaptable to deserts, forests, snow, and urban combat. Its relatively simple mechanical design made it easier to repair and upgrade compared to heavier German tanks, allowing it to remain operational even as newer designs appeared. Although eventually outmatched by Allied armor in numbers, the Panzer IV's reliability, versatility, and constant development made it the true workhorse of German armored warfare during World War II. The Panther, officially designated Panzer IV, was one of Germany's most advanced and effective tanks of World War II, developed in direct response to the shock of encountering Soviet T-34 tanks on the Eastern Front in 1941. Introduced in 1943, the Panther combined sloped armor, high mobility, and a powerful long-barreled 75mm gun capable of destroying most Allied tanks at long range. Designed as a medium tank but often matching heavy tanks in firepower, it was intended to replace earlier German designs as the core of panzer divisions. The Panther saw extensive combat on the Eastern Front, in Italy and in Western Europe, including Normandy and the Ardennes offensive. Its sloped frontal armor provided excellent protection without excessive weight, while its high-velocity gun gave German crews a significant advantage in tank duels. However, early mechanical problems, complex maintenance requirements, and fuel shortages limited its operational effectiveness. When functioning properly, the Panther was a deadly battlefield weapon, combining speed, protection, and firepower in a way that strongly influenced post-war tank design and shaped the future of armored warfare. The Tiger I was Germany's first true heavy tank of World War II, and quickly became one of the most feared armored vehicles on the battlefield after its introduction in 1942. Designed to break enemy defenses and dominate tank combat, the Tiger I combined extremely thick armor with the powerful 88mm K-36 gun, a weapon capable of destroying Allied tanks at long distances with exceptional accuracy. Deployed on the Eastern Front, in North Africa, and later in Western Europe, the Tiger I often changed the balance of local battles, forcing Allied forces to adapt new tactics and weapons to counter it. Its armor made it nearly immune to many early Allied anti-tank guns, while its gun gave German crews confidence in head-on engagements. However, the Tiger I was mechanically complex, slow to produce and difficult to maintain, consuming large amounts of fuel and requiring skilled crews. These limitations prevented it from being used in large numbers. Despite this, when properly supported, the Tiger I proved devastatingly effective, earning a legendary reputation and symbolizing German heavy armor power during World War II. The Tiger II, commonly known as the King Tiger, represented the peak of German heavy tank development during World War II, combining extreme armor protection with overwhelming firepower. Introduced in 1944, the Tiger II featured heavily sloped frontal armor and the formidable 88mm KAC-43 L71 gun, capable of destroying any Allied tank at long range. Designed to dominate armored engagements, it was deployed primarily on the Eastern Front and in Western Europe during the final stages of the war, including the Normandy campaign and the Battle of the Bulge. Its thick armor made it nearly invulnerable from the front to most Allied weapons, forcing enemies to rely on flanking attacks, air power, or artillery to neutralize it. However, the Tiger II's immense weight placed enormous strain on its engine, transmission, and suspension, leading to frequent mechanical breakdowns. Fuel shortages and logistical difficulties further limited its operational use. Despite these problems, when properly supported and supplied, the Tiger II was a terrifying battlefield presence, symbolizing German attempts to achieve battlefield superiority through technological dominance during the final phase of World War II. The Panzer IV was the primary German battle tank during the early years of World War II and played a decisive role in the Blitzkrieg campaigns that overran Poland, France, and the Low Countries. Designed specifically for tank versus tank combat, the Panzer III initially featured lighter armor and smaller caliber guns, but it was continuously upgraded as the war progressed. Early variants were armed with machine guns and short-barreled cannons, while later versions received more powerful 50mm guns and improved armor to counter increasingly capable Allied tanks. The Panzer IV proved highly effective due to its reliable mechanical design, excellent crew ergonomics, and advanced communication systems that allowed coordinated armored tactics. It served extensively on the Eastern Front in North Africa and across Europe, adapting to diverse environments ranging from deserts to frozen battlefields. As Allied tanks grew more powerful, the Panzer III gradually became outclassed in direct combat and was phased out of frontline service. However, its chassis continued to be used for assault guns and specialized vehicles. The Panzer III's service demonstrated how balanced design, crew efficiency, and tactical doctrine could dominate early war armored warfare. Thus, die Kaisbes 251 half-track was the primary armored personnel carrier of the German army during World War II and a key component of Germany's mechanized warfare doctrine. Designed to transport Panzergrenadier infantry alongside tanks, the SD-Kampf 251 allowed German units to maintain momentum during rapid advances while providing limited protection from small arms fire and shell fragments. Featuring a wheeled front axle for steering and a tracked rear section for off-road mobility, the vehicle performed effectively across varied terrain, including mud, snow, desert sand, and urban rubble. It was produced in numerous variants, serving as troop transport, command vehicle, ambulance, radio carrier, and weapons platform mounting machine guns, mortars, or anti-tank guns. Widely used on every major front from Poland and France to North Africa, Italy, and the Eastern Front, the SD-Kampf 251 enabled close coordination between infantry and armor, a hallmark of German combined arms tactics. Although lightly armored and open-topped, its versatility, mobility, and sheer numbers made it indispensable. The SD-Kampf 251 exemplified how mechanized infantry vehicles could dramatically increase battlefield effectiveness in modern warfare. The SD-Kampf's 222 armored car was one of the most widely used German reconnaissance vehicles of World War II, designed for speed, visibility, and long-range scouting rather than heavy combat. Entering service before the war, it played a key role during early Blitzkrieg campaigns in Poland, France, and the Low Countries, where rapid intelligence gathering was essential to fast-moving, armored advances. Equipped with four-wheel drive and a lightweight armored hull, the SD-Kampf 222 could operate effectively on roads, dirt tracks, and open terrain. Its distinctive open-topped turret mounted a 20mm automatic cannon and a machine gun, giving it enough firepower to deal with enemy infantry, light vehicles, and aircraft at low altitude. The vehicle was used extensively in North Africa, the Eastern Front, and across occupied Europe, often operating far ahead of main forces. Although vulnerable to heavy weapons and artillery, the SD-Kampf 220 excelled in its intended role, providing critical reconnaissance, screening, and security. Its service demonstrated how speed, communication, and situational awareness were vital components of modern mechanized warfare. The Stuka III, short for Sturmgeschütztür, became one of the most successful and cost-effective armored fighting vehicles used by Germany during World War II. Originally designed as an infantry support weapon, the Stuka III was built on the Panzer III chassis, but lacked a rotating turret, instead mounting its main gun in a fixed armored superstructure. This low silhouette made it difficult to spot and easier to conceal on the battlefield. As the war progressed and German tank losses increased, the Stuka III evolved into a highly effective tank destroyer, armed with long-barreled 75mm guns capable of destroying most Allied tanks. Produced in large numbers, it served on every major front, including the Eastern Front, Italy, and Western Europe. Its simpler construction made it cheaper, faster to build, and easier to maintain than turreted tanks, allowing Germany to field it in significant quantities even as resources dwindled. The Stuka III proved that well-designed assault guns could rival tanks in battlefield effectiveness. becoming a backbone of German armored defenses in the later years of the war. The Opel Blitz truck was the backbone of German military logistics throughout World War II, enabling the movement of troops, supplies, fuel, ammunition, and equipment across every front of the BD conflict. Designed for reliability and mass production, the Blitz became the standard medium truck of the Wehrmacht, serving in roles ranging from cargo transport and troop carrier to ambulance, radio truck, and fuel tanker. It operated in extreme conditions, from the deserts of North Africa to the frozen roads of the Eastern Front, where its mechanical simplicity and adaptability were constantly tested. Despite being unarmored and vulnerable to air attack and artillery, the Opel Blitz's importance cannot be overstated, as German operations depended heavily on continuous resupply over long distances. Shortages of fuel and spare parts increasingly limited its effectiveness in the later stages of the war, but its presence remained essential even as Allied air superiority disrupted supply lines. The Opel Blitz demonstrated that logistics vehicles were just as decisive as tanks and artillery, proving that without reliable transport, even the most powerful combat units could not function effectively in modern warfare. The Kübelwagen, officially designated the Volkswagen Type 82, was the most widely used light utility vehicle of the German military during World War II and served as the Wehrmacht's primary means of short-range transport and liaison. Designed by Ferdinand Porsche, the Kübelwagen emphasized simplicity, low weight, and mechanical reliability rather than armor or firepower. Its air-cooled engine allowed it to operate effectively in extreme climates, from the deserts of North Africa to the frozen conditions of the Eastern Front, without the risk of radiator freezing or overheating. Although lightly built and unarmored, the Kübelwagen's excellent traction, high ground clearance, and rear-wheel drive layout enabled it to traverse rough terrain where heavier vehicles struggled. It was used extensively for command transport, reconnaissance support, communications, medical evacuation, and supply duties close to the front lines. Cheap and easy to produce, the Kübelwagen was manufactured in large numbers and became an indispensable part of German military operations. Its service demonstrated how simple, well-designed utility vehicles could have a decisive impact on mobility and command efficiency during modern mechanized warfare.